and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra, and this is the closing hour of Market Today, where we will help you understand the closing action on the D Street and also help you with insights from top market experts on various aspects of the markets as well. Let's quickly look at how the markets are trading. Well, we've inched to the high point of the day. 25,200 is with us. Remember, tomorrow is the weekly options expiry, and we are seeing some pickup happen ahead of that. 82,738 for the Sensex is 500 points higher in trade as of now. Even the broader markets have picked up pace. They were slightly soft in the morning trade. Mid caps and small caps both are trading higher, with the mid caps now up 0.25% in trade. It's the IT stocks and the banking names that are definitely pulling higher. You can see the Nifty IT index up by 0.4%, and even the Nifty Bank that's trading about 0.7% higher in trade. So it's the banking names that are definitely supporting the indices at this point in time. Even when we look at the top contributors on the Nifty, continuing to be the private sector banks, HDFC, ICICI Bank, that are supporting the sentiments. Bharti Airtel that continues to draw attention, and Reliance Industries also now from last 2 or 3 odd trading sessions after the earnings that was soft is now contributing on the positive side as ahead. Now for Infosys, ahead of earnings, that's also up in trade, about 12 points being contributed by Infosys in trade today. We also have Tata Motors, Bajaj Finance, and SBI as some of the other names that are contributing to the higher side on the markets as well. Now, when we look a little deeper to spot what is really buzzing in the trade as far as the broadest index is concerned, from the broader markets, you will see a lot of names that are pulling up. Ola Electric is actually pulling higher in trade. You can see almost a 6-7% of an uptick on this one. 7.5% uptick right now. 43 odd levels can be seen. MRPL, LK Equipments, JM Financial, Credit Access Grameen, Maharashtra Seamless, auto ancillary names. Those are the ones that are also drawing some attention in trade as well today. That's the space that's clearly buzzing. Apart from that, within the mid caps, if we speak, the kind of moves that we are seeing, again, you'll see Premier Energy, Sona Comstar, Vari Energies, moving up in trade. Dixon, again, post earnings has been consistently drawing us some moves. Max Healthcare is another one that's also focusing on the higher side. Biocon, Indus Towers, L&T Finance, those are all the names that are also higher in trade. Let's in fact get our guest on board to help us understand more in detail about the markets. Mr. Sharad Avasthi, the head of research at SMIFS, is now joining in on the program with us. Warm welcome to you, Mr. Avasthi, and thank you so much for taking the time out. I'll start off with is your view on the earnings that have come in so far, sir. What have you probably gathered from the initial set of earnings that have come in? We've seen the IT pack today. It'll be Infosys, the last of the big four companies that are supposed to report the earnings from the IT pack. We've seen some of the banking names that managed to pull up the markets in the initial part of last week and some bit in this week as well. What's your suggestion on the earnings that have come in, sir?
I think it's largely a neutral set of numbers, you can call it. I think IT, as we have spoken earlier,
Yes.
maybe they were not as confident they could be because of the turbulence that we had in American markets. But I think going ahead, most probably they will have much better clarity in terms of IT numbers. So the numbers have been subdued. The only silver lining you can take is that most of them have a rising order inflow suggesting. So I think order books, etc., have been going up for them. I think future pipeline is also very strong for most IT companies from whatever commentary we have heard. So I think that should be positive for them. For banks, I think the NPA surprise, particularly propping up out of the agri segment, is something that is a bit problematic. But as most commentary goes, that next quarter onwards, most probably that should start to look normalize over a period of time. And with advances growth coming in, I think advances growth, it's not as disappointing as Q1 usually is. But this credit cost rise on the agri loans is something that has caused a bit of problem. Then the treasury income also, though is better than last year, but it still is comparatively lower because of this some random movement in government securities, upward movement in yields. So I think that should normalize over the next quarter or so. Then both these things should contribute. So all in all, I think this quarter, you can call it a neutral kind of quarter, basically not much happening. I think out of 180, 90 companies that we saw till last week, we had 8% revenue growth, around similar profit growth year on year. So I think it's not something that you can drive home materially that something great has happened. But I think it's a neutral kind of quarter that you can look at. So most probably, the upgrades to downgrades ratio will also be more or less be at a similar level. There might not be too much of downgrades from here. Largely, not much upgrades also. So neutral kind of stance from the quarterly numbers.
Okay. Any in expectation from the Infosys earnings that will come in right after the market hours today? How do you expect Infosys to perform vis-a-vis the companies that have already reported their numbers, vis-a-vis TCS, HCL Tech, and Wipro?
I think the general expectation is that probably it will be better than largely what TCS and HCL Tech have reported. So maybe comparatively, Infosys numbers, quarterly numbers might look better. I believe that is the reason the prices are moving the way they are. And I think the forward commentary might be a bit more satisfactory next quarter onwards. This quarter, you might not get too much of a positive surprise. But next quarter onwards, I'm expecting substantial improvement in the commentaries also. In comparison to what has been declared till now, I think maybe Infosys could surprise you on the positive side.
Okay. When we talk about the banking names now, sir, between HDFC and ICICI Bank, which is the earnings that gave you more confidence of continuation going forward from here on the positive side? And at record high levels for HDFC, would you still be bullish?
See, I think in terms of both earnings were pretty decent. I don't think there are any red flags to hold on to any of the numbers.
Hmm.
The only difference, that between both these banks is that I think the phase that ICICI had seen post change of guard, I think largely most of the improvement in terms of valuation multiples, in terms of the various, banking matrices, those improvements have already happened over the last 4.5 years. From here on, to expect incremental improvement from ICICI Bank is going to be difficult. It's already trading at what 3.1 times. So largely, what you can expect is a market link kind of performance.
Hmm. Hmm.
In case of HDFC, what I'm expecting is that because of these merger synergies playing in, and after a long time, the bank being as aggressive as they are talking about, so maybe that makes more case, for further upgradation going ahead, re-rating of numbers, hence re-rating of your multiples also. It's trading at 2.8, 2.9 times price to book, so it's not that it's very cheap compared to ICICI Bank. But HDFC, I think now is what nearly three times ICICI Bank, largely on the
Yes.
gross. So
Hmm.
I think that size advantage will also come in, and if HDFC Bank starts to improve, and the possibility of it showing improvement from here on with the merger synergies, etc., kicking in, I think probably in terms of incremental improvements, HDFC might outscore ICICI from here on.
Okay, so that's the banking aspect. Before I come to the other banks, I just want to broadly touch upon all the important news points that we can cover today, sir. Auto space is again, surging in trade today. It was led by Tata Motors, Maruti. We are also seeing a lot of auto ancillary names also come back into fold. Do you think any indication from the US-Japan deal, is that the reason why players like Maruti and Tata Motors could be moving up? Can we expect a similar deal for India? It's still on the languishing side. What are you expecting?
So you have been expecting from day one that most probably India
Yeah.
will have a trade deal, but somehow it has been delayed too much. Maybe we won't get something even by 1st August. So I think that's a challenge that you have, but I still believe, that the dialogue that we see across both countries, there is high probability that India will get a good deal out of it. And
Mm.
with Japan getting a good deal, I think there is high probability that India might also score a good deal with the US. Again, the problematic areas were agri and probably milk products, and we always expected them to be problematic because India wouldn't budge there, and the US would obviously want to create a dent there. So I think that's a plus contentious issue. I don't know how long it will take, but I think gradually they will also budge down because while India is an important market for them, in terms of the type of geopolitics they're trying to do with respect to China also. So I think later or sometime with some delays maybe, but most probably it will be favorable. I think yeah, the market is taking a cue from the Japanese structure that most probably India will also get a favorable structure for the tariffs, particularly in autos, etc.
Okay. Ola Electric is also on the move after 6 consecutive days of decline. Today, the stock is up by 7.5%. A block deal was seen in the stock, 15 lakh shares worth 7 crores, changing hands during the day as well. That's also a reason why the stock could be reacting the way it is. But what's your overall sense? Ola Electric has still not shown any promise to investors on the fundamental side. The issues on safety, security continue to crop up. Is the company really doing enough to, tackle all the issues, or still do you think there is a lot of discomfort that even IPO investors still have because they invested at 76, it went up beyond 100, odd levels, and then it's been languishing.
Uh, yeah, in terms of price performance, I think the shareholders will not be happy, quite obvious. In case someone bought it after the IPO, they would be even in a worse position.
Yeah.
But I think, these are stories where such volatilities will happen. If you look at the recent past, if you look at, Paytm, most probably that got into some problem with respect to the credit underwriting, etc. Similarly, I think most of the new age companies, whether it's a Nika or an Eternal, that is Zomato, I think all of them went through phases where the numbers were not up to the mark, and the initial hype was way too much. I think the initial level in October, I think we were trading at 12 times EV to sales. Those are high valuations, and these businesses usually will go through these learning curves where they will have to come up. But I think at these valuations, what are you trading at? 4.8 times EV to sales. 1 year forward, 3.6 times EV to sales. I think the growth triggers that were there when the stock was trading at 150 remain to be there. There have been some problems. I think sooner or later they will address them in a fashion which the market will like. And once the numbers start showing up, I think the recovery could be very sharp. We have seen that in stocks like Paytm, Zomato, Nika. So I think those who have a strong heart and understand, that this is a business that is going to stay here. I think EV penetration, etc., is not something that is going to die down anytime soon. Similarly, the battery energy storage system and the battery business, everything that they are trying to do, all that is going to help us and help them grow in the long term. But yeah, in terms of volatility, in terms of numbers and prices, it would be a bit too much for the conservative investor. Traditional valuation metrics would still not work. Whatever numbers we are looking at, we might have losses till 2028. But I think these businesses will not be valued on the traditional side. So if there is a risk on in the markets, try participating in these stories. If there is a risk off, try getting out of them. But I think that 3.6 times EV to sales 1 year forward. If you have that appetite of risk, one should look at this.
What about SML Isuzu, sir? How are you reading that story? I mean, 10% higher. The stock is given over 100% returns in the last 1 month. It's been a vertical rally, a multi-year high, for the company. The stock had reacted pretty negatively right after the news of M&M acquiring the company had come in. But after that, the company has slowly and gradually been inching higher. In just last 1 week, 25% kind of a surge, 4,053 kind of levels can be seen on this one. What's really changed here, and how would you look at it at these levels, sort of for a fresh entry point?
No, I think from a fresh entry point, obviously it does look a bit stretched to me. But I think maybe the market knows something with respect to what they are planning to do with respect to it, along with M&M. I think that could be a very big trigger. Because if I think the point that Isuzu always lagged was the distribution network, it was never the product that was a problem. So I think the distribution network was the problem area. The products, if you look at them, I think most of them were comparable to international standards. We
Hmm.
had at it quite a number of times, but I think liquidity and maybe the distribution reach not being there, and good product launches also were not being sold into the type of hype that they could have been sold into, considering the quality of the product. So I think with the Mahindra backing coming up, that would substantially, re-rate this company's products and the type they can scale. So
Hmm.
that's an advantageous position. But I think at these valuations, roughly what 40, 41 times last 12 months, maybe a lot of expectation is built into the price. So I would rather avoid it at these prices.
avoided at these prices. Okay, so the auto space has been tackled. You were briefly mentioning about the new age tech companies. I wanted to also come to you on Eternal versus Swiggy. A blowout quarter for Eternal, is what we've seen. Even for Paytm, first time ever, profits without any adjustments have come in. Of course, Swiggy is riding on the Blinkit boom that the earnings have sought, but probably Swiggy could also come out with the positive set of earnings. But how are you looking at this entire space, sir? And what is catching your attention more than the others?
I think if you do a comparison, obviously after this run up, maybe Swiggy looks better than Zomato at current valuations. Um, 4.7 times 1 year forward, I think easily it can stretch to around,
Hmm.
6.5 times EV to sales. So that gives you very decent upside. So I think in comparison to both these companies, Swiggy and Zomato or Eternal, I think I would be more comfortable buying into a Swiggy. I think Eternal at these valuations, I think more or less it captures. It's already trading at 8.2 times EV to sales 1 year forward. So I don't think much upside is left. Further re-rating, yeah, that can substantially happen. I think they are the ones they will report the bottom line, etc. So I think maybe it has more market fancy. But if you talk to me in terms of the type of business we are into, I think I would be happier buying a Swiggy at these valuations than an Eternal. I think Eternal maybe most of the positives are already priced in. Paytm, yeah, certainly. I think the type of improvement we are expecting in the numbers, over the next 2, 3 years is substantial. We are talking about earnings of around 30, 33 rupees. So, very optimistic. Maybe you can look at another 20, 25% upside from current levels for Paytm.
Okay, okay. Coming back to the banking space, especially PSUs and SBI is what I wanted to start off with. Of course, this is a stock that we have discussed so many times with you before. But today the QIP trigger is what I wanted to understand. Both futures and cash around 817 rupees for SBI. What's the implication of such a large fundraise for the bank? Some believe that this could probably increase the weightage for SBI in both MSCI and FTSE rebalancing that comes in forward. How would you look at it?
Short term, yes, might be. It does culminate into this kind of development. And I believe last time we were also speaking about it, and I most
Yeah,
probably skipped the part where they had also an equity issue. I was just focusing on the bond issue.
yeah,
And later
yeah.
on, yeah. So I think, this is a substantial fundraise for them, 25,000 crores. And I think it is setting the stage for future growth. I think today also, most probably, he's spoken in an interview that we want to, get into the top 10 banks globally. I think if that number is to be believed, we are looking at 15% sustained growth for the bank, doubling of income over the next 4, 5 years by 2030.
Mm,
So I mean, for a large cap story, if you're happy with 15, 16% returns, considering that it continues to trade at 1.5 times price to book. But if SBI consistently talks about a 15% growth rate and is laying out targets for 5 years hence, I think there is high probability that the price to book multiples could also go up. So
mm.
maybe we're looking at a story which could yield you, 25, 26% annualized returns over the next 3 to 4 years. So might be a good story to bet on in terms of typical targets. I think what are we looking at? We are right now at what 820, 830. So I think 1 year, I think you could be looking at somewhere around 950, 975 on the stock,
Okay.
considering by 1.75 kind of price to book.
Okay. One more news aspect is, how Bombay Dyeing is in focus today because Jahangir Jay Wadia had the younger son of the Wadia Group chairman, Nusli Wadia, has re-entered the family business after a 4-year gap, and he's looking at reviving the business, identifying new business opportunities as well. He wants to play a strategic role with sharp, defined vision on governance, institutionalization, and shareholder wealth creation is what he's talking about. Bombay Dyeing is up by 14% at the day's high. Volumes are strong. This would also put the focus and spotlight on the all the other stocks also listed from the group, say Britannia, National Peroxide, even Bombay Burma for that matter. How are you looking at this fresh wave, sir? Do you think textile play like Bombay Dyeing now focusing big on the real estate group play as well could also bring the some more waves on the higher side on this one?
Yeah, I think it's not very stretched in terms of valuations, etc. And if they can walk the talk, basically, I think because this has been one volatile group. A lot of upheavals have happened here and there. But as we have seen in Raymond, restructuring of the business, the real estate focus, I think real estate and textiles both should do very well. There's no doubt that in terms of a brand, Robert is a strong brand on the textile side of it. So I think being a big group, if they can pull it off, there could be substantial upside to the story. But I would like to see more deliveries happening on the ground rather than just buying the story.
Okay. Another news point that came in was with respect to the aviation stock SpiceJet, sir. The stock is up by 5% in trade today. That's after the Supreme Court has dismissed Kalanithi Maran and KL Airways plea against at the Delhi High Court ruling rejecting their 1,323 odd crore rupee damages claim from SpiceJet as well. How would you look at the development with respect to SpiceJet?
Uh, See, I think the development is obviously positive for them, but these stories, in terms of numbers, they have found it very hard to post decent
Mhm.
numbers for a sustained period of time. I mean, Indigo is a rare find across globe where you have an airline that has generated cash flows and been profitable. How profitable will be from here on is something else with the premium
Yeah.
services being onboarded. But even after that, I think SpiceJet, I don't think that the performance has been anywhere near satisfactory to suggest investors to buy into it. News bits here and there, yeah, maybe they are positive, maybe they help you with a run up or for a day or two. But I don't see any reason to have a sustained buy rating on the stock still. While I'm very bullish on the total airline space, the way India should, emerge, I think that should be very positive. But SpiceJet, I would not buy. The other option you have is an Indigo, where I am not comfortable with the current valuation. So I think I'd rather give a miss to the space.
Okay. Coming to the large cap space, Bharti Airtel is what I wanted to discuss with you from the telecom space. That's also because recently Bharti Airtel has overtaken TCS in the market capitalization space as well, 2% higher even today. Now, this is in the first time in 15 years that TCS is actually not in the top three companies. TCS is now the fourth largest company in India. Bharti Airtel is now the third largest. Bharti's market cap is 11.6 lakh crores, whereas TCS has a 11.46 lakh crore rupee of a market cap. How would you look at Bharti Airtel? What's next for this story to unfold?
I think for the telecom story in the country, there are two triggers that play for you. One is the ARPU improvements that should continue to happen. I believe Sunil Bharti Mittal was also very vocal about the ARPUs being the lowest probably in India in comparison to most of the other countries. And I think the other aspect is the FTTH penetration levels, which are continuously going up. Even if you heard the Reliance quarterly development, they were also highlighting it. So I think both these aspects should help them to continue register better growth even in the months to come or quarters to come. The only flip side could be, that valuation wise, maybe we are pricing in most of it. We are growing at what, 25, 30, 35% maybe next year. And 70 rupee EPS, we are already trading at 38, 39 times, So maybe the upside is a bit capped. You get market linked returns from Bharti. But I think the big, outperformance that we have seen over the last 1.5, 2 years, I think that is behind us. Now you can expect market linked returns from Bharti. If I had to play the telecom space, I would be more comfortable playing it through Reliance than Bharti, I think.
Okay, fair point. So that's as far as Bharti Airtel is concerned. I'd also like you to focus a little bit on the primary market actions and help us understand how are you looking at the new IPOs that have come in today for subscription. One is IndiCube from the office spaces, the third entrant that we've seen after Office and SmartWorks now. So what are the opportunities here vis-a-vis the three? How are you looking at IndiCube as an opportunity? And the other one is G&G Electronics from the electronics space. Any suggestion on both these, sir?
I think IndiCube, in terms of an area of operation which they're working in, it's a very good place to be in. The type of improvement in GCCs across India is very strong, and it is going to be strong over the next, decade or so. The flexi office theme is also very strong. The only thing that we might be a bit unnerved about IndiCube is probably, more improvement on the cash flow and, profitability side, which might take a bit of time. But they're growing in a cautionary manner. So I think for people who are not very risk averse, this could be a good long-term investment. They could look at it as the IPO. Immediate gains, I think, might be a bit difficult. But yeah, I think long-term investment, because the space is very attractive, I think it could be a good space to look at. In terms of the three, when we look at it, I think what I heard from the SmartWorks management, I think I was more impressed with the way they were running the whole campus issues and etc. So, though very similar businesses, but a leased out model, I think long term maybe the growth would be much better in SmartWorks compared to the other two. But yeah, I think the space is good. So even an IndiQ could be a good issue to hang on to as a long-term investor. Because generally, what happens if within an industry the space does well, everyone does well. GNG, I think again, a very interesting space to be in. Particularly, the refurbishment mandates that keep coming in and recycling mandates that keep coming in. There is a Microsoft tie-up that they could end up with that could provide very handsome growth to them in the years to come. But again, I think profitability, etc., is an issue maybe in the nearer term. So maybe again, it's a good thing for someone who's wanting to take a bit of risk and stay long term. For them, it might be a good idea. So both companies, I think, they're not leaving much on the table, but I think the growth prospects are very good. So maybe they might be good long term investments.
Fair point. Anything in the market, any pocket or segment you are staying away from right now, sir?
I think again, the broking and exchange related stories we like to stay away because we think the volumes have shrunk and we are not very sure how this whole change script issue is going to culminate into. So that is one space where we feel it's a bit stretched. So that is one space we'd like to avoid.
Okay, fair point. Well, Mr. Avasthi, thank you so much for being with us on the program today and helping us with all your insights. Always a pleasure to speak to you, sir. Thank you. All right, viewers, we'll start wrapping up. It's 3:27, 3 minutes to go before the markets shut short for the day. And we've climbed higher, 0.6% up, 25,218. There are volumes that are definitely helping. And at this point in time, like I said, it's the banks. HDFC Bank is contributing about 29, 30 odd points to the gains on the Nifty. You can actually see Bharti Airtel contributing about 23 points, ICICI Bank about 22 points, Reliance about 18 points, Bajaj Finance, Tata Motors. These are all the stocks that are actually contributing on the positive side. Infosys, however, has slipped and is contributing on the negative side. Maybe just about 15, 20 minutes from now, you could actually see the markets reacting to Infosys earnings. And, of course, markets will react tomorrow, but we may be seeing Infosys earnings coming in. HUL, Tata Consumer Products, ITC. So from the FMCG pack, I think there is some weakness today. Cement major, UltraTech cement is down, Grasim is down. Even BEL, after some days of pickup, is seeing some profits being taken off the table as well. When we look at among the sectors, well, you will see that a lot of sectors, that are positive are autos for sure. That is now up almost 1%. Financial services is higher. You also see metals shining bright, 0.6% up. Pharma is half odd percent up. Private banks are higher, 0.7% up. Real estate, although is the top loser today, 2.5% of a drag that can be seen on this one. That's what is creating some pressure. IT is flat, FMCG down half odd percent, media stocks down 1%. Those are the pockets that are declining. But we still have about healthcare and oil and gas also seeing some gains. So largely on the positive side, but some sectors that are showing weakness as well. On the broader markets, mid caps are now up 0.3, 0.4% higher. They end the day up. Small caps flat with a positive bias. India VIX is down by 2.6% at 10.4 odd level. So comfortable zones there. Let's see how this pans out in tomorrow's weekly options expiry as well. That will be important to watch. But on the Nifty, let's look at the top moves. Tata Motors tops the charts, 2.5% higher. Shriram Finance, Bharti Airtel, Apollo Hospitals, Bajaj Finance, and Geo Finance are the names that are actually picking up on the Nifty. Whereas on the downside, when you see Tata Consumer Products, HUL, Infosys, BEL, UltraTech Cement, and ITC as the top losers on the trade as well. Let me just pull up the Nifty 500 names. The index, remember, has improved through, in the second half, in the latter half, and towards the end of the session. A lot of oil and gas related stocks are up. MRPL is higher. Look at the smart gain, 7% odd. Ola Electric, 6.5% higher. LG Equipment's higher. Credit Access Grameen higher. JM Financial. Electra Green Tech is also up. So I think it's the EV space that's clearly buzzing. SML Isuzu, Electra Green Tech, Ola Electric. Look at all of these. So I think keep a watch on this EV space in case we get some information. Just how Mr. Avasthi did point out that even though these stocks, especially when we talk about SML Isuzu, it does look stretched, but there could be something that the markets know, and some information might be about to come, and that's what is pulling the stocks higher in trade as of now from the EV basket. So keep an eye out on that. Godrej Agro is also higher. Maharashtra Seamless is up in trade. A lot of auto ancillary names. I think there's clearly something buzzing, and we'll have to keep an eye out on as to what could that be. All right, the screen has frozen, viewers, in front of you. Let's quickly look at the Nifty, where is that ended 0.6% higher, 25,219 there. All right, viewers, we'll wrap it up on that note, but do stay tuned on to Business Today Television. Even beyond the market hours, we will continue to get you coverage from the world of business and finance, so stay tuned for that. And of course, we will also get you all the insights that you need to know from the earnings perspective. I'll be back for the market coverage tomorrow morning. Stay tuned for that.